All systems go. Clear for liftoff.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the SHIPIT Nation Cash Game Show. We're here to break down the Week 17 slate from cash game perspective. So we got this week, we got next week. That'll probably be it. We'll kind of incorporate the cash game talk and conversations into our normal weekly shows. Got to kind of see what the sites do in terms of the first round, second round. If they split the slates up, which they typically will do, we'll probably get a couple 3-game slates. But the cash game conversation will be incorporated in our main show. This is where it gets difficult. And, not only does it get difficult, but you can find some advantages here along the way. There's going to be a lot of information. We've kind of been leading up to this point, been talking about it. A lot of injured guys at this point in the season, a lot of teams with nothing to play for, a lot of surprise information that we'll get these last 2 weeks. So recording the show Friday afternoon, a little bit difficult to pinpoint exactly where we're going to go. So again, the conversation is going to be more if-then type scenarios, going to be, yes, lock in this guy. So a lot of open-ended conversations here today because there's a lot of unknowns, kind of try to clarify the information as much as possible. And then as always, SHIPITNation.com, 4 core plays for FanDuel, 4 core plays for DraftKings. But as always, joined by my guy Title. What's going on over there, man?
Yeah, not much. It's definitely tough these last 2 weeks. I mean, especially now, like Jacobs' true game time decision. Russell Wilson is out of Denver. You see a bunch of backup quarterbacks like we've seen. Pacheco, it looks like no Pacheco, so CH is going to be popping a lot. What do teams have to play for? Like, there's a bunch. Projections. Yeah, I mean, this is a reason to get over SHIPITNation.com. Of course, the cash reports updated Saturday will be up. Sunday, any updates will be made. Projections updated throughout the week because projections more than likely will look a lot different on Sunday morning than they do right now with so many Q tags. Looks like Pittman will play. Looks like that last week until he had a setback.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase questionable. I mean, you can go on and on. So, yeah, we'll do the best we can, but definitely more of a reason to get over to SHIPIT Nation.
Yeah, no doubt about that. There is 13 games in the slate as well, which I wanted to point out. Typically, we've seen about 10, so there's just more players to consider for us this week. A lot of backup quarterbacks in the conversation. Oh, not in the conversation, but a lot of teams are using their backup quarterbacks this week. Russell Wilson bench, so there's a lot of that. But again, it's important to monitor the news, all the way through Sunday. Like Title, some will have the core plays up probably Saturday evening, and then if we have to make any changes, we certainly will. And this is the time of year where when those inactives come out Sunday morning, it's important to kind of double check and see because there's going to be some surprises here the last couple weeks of the season. Just no doubt about that. Using the solver here, as you can see, if you're a member at SHIPIT Nation and you use our link to get the solver, everything comes preloaded in here. So we're using our projections and a lot of questionable tags. So a lot of the stuff we're making some guesses on in terms of who's going to be in and out. We'll talk about those. Quarterback, though, pretty straightforward in terms of who's going to be playing, who's going to be starting. We have DraftKings up here, and this was updated this morning, yesterday. So we definitely need to get an update in here. There is a lot of news that may have already broke, but you're going to see a lot of these cheap guys projecting well. Tyrod Taylor, 4,600. Brissett, 4,900. They're showing as the 2 best values. And then you have Jalen Hurts at 8,300. Lamar Jackson, 7,700. Purdy, 7K, coming off that disastrous game. I think in a perfect world, we just play Jalen Hurts here. I mean, obviously there are cheap options that you can go to, but ideally I think you want to get to Hurts. It's just such a safe source of fantasy points. They're going to want to win this one. It's an easy matchup. So talk about Hurts and then any of these cheap guys. Like, do you think it's viable to fully punt the position this week?
Yeah, I think it's either Hurts or you do go all the way down. Like, we'll get to Christian McCaffrey on DraftKings. He's still mispriced like always. First guy you'll have in your team. So you at least know that you're spending at one spot. I think there's probably going to be enough value where we can get Hurts. But Jacoby Brissett, it's definitely a brutal matchup against San Fran. However, they're 13.5-point dogs. When he came in, he played well last week. You got to expect a lot of dropbacks for him, though, in a good game flow. I think he and Tyrod Taylor down there are fine. I don't really just think there's anything in the middle. I think you just go all the way up to Hurts. If we have enough value open up, which, again, a lot of Q tags, I assume that is the case. And looks like we just got an update in live time.
Got an update. Love to see that.
Love to see that is right. Like Stidham, I'd rather Tyrod. He has a little rushing upside. I'd rather Brissett in what should be a good game script where he's chucking it a ton. I think it's Hurts, which I want Hurts. The nut matchup against Arizona, they let it up everywhere. Monster projection we have for Hurts. But, yeah, it's Hurts or it's all the way down, and I think a lot of that dictates, like, if Josh Jacobs is out, we have Zamir White. But if he's in, we have less value. Looks like Pacheco won't play, so CH looks good. A lot of it, I think, depends on what other positions and the value we have.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So as you saw, just got an update, which is nice, 2:37 p.m. Eastern, so 2 minutes ago. So on the fly here, our guy Boomer getting that taken care of. Over on FanDuel, I think it's much more clear at the quarterback position. You're probably spending up, and it's probably Hurts, or I'll just take Lamar Jackson for $1,300 cheaper. I mean, he's looked solid. He has that upside. Where it becomes frustrating to play Lamar Jackson is when Gus Edwards rushes in 2 touchdowns or 3 touchdowns, whatever it may be. My initial lean would be probably just to play him at 7,900 under 8K in a game they're definitely going to want to win at home against Miami. So for me, it kind of looks like it's Lamar Jackson here.
Yeah, I think so too. Like if that 1,300, I mean, we're going to get to CMC over here. He's 11K, so he is much more difficult.
Good for FanDuel, I'll tell you, man. DraftKings dragging their feet on that price tag, keeping him under 10K again this week. But you gotta make some sacrifices if you want to play an $11,000 running back.
Yeah, I gave props a lot to FanDuel on the cash report, saying they've done a better job than DK with pricing. I mean, it stinks when you have a free square every single week with CMC on DK. Definitely not the case with FanDuel. So to get CMC like that 1,300 with Lamar does go a long way. I don't think CMC is a lock, but I do know I want to spend up at quarterback. You don't want Brissett. You don't want Tyrod. Pricing soft enough. It's either Hurts or Lamar is how I see it. And I will say, definitely monitor weather. We'll talk about it on the Sunday show as always, but getting into late December, early January, there's no dome games. Weather is something you always have to monitor, which just say it is like awful weather in Baltimore or something, or awful weather in Philly, then I'd lean the other side maybe. But as of now, it's those two. And I like the 1,300 saves with Lamar more than likely.
Yeah, weather's looking pretty good, which is kind of crazy for late December. I mean, I obviously the weather's usually shitty here. It's been pretty solid, like no snow, nothing. So it's kind of a weird year for
snow, no sun, depressing.
Yeah, well, that too. Yeah, the no sun part is not fun. So what I did, we'll talk running back here on FanDuel. So I plugged in Lamar, plugged in McCaffrey, and just put in a cheap defense. You're already down to 6.2K for the rest of your spots. So I mean, you have to make some sacrifices if you are going Christian McCaffrey. Now, do I want to play him? Absolutely, I want to play him in cash games, but we do have a lot of other cheap options, I think, that are potentially in play here. Or not cheap options, but value type options. James Cook at 7,600. If they get a lead, we saw a couple weeks ago what they're willing to do. They're willing to just give this guy the ball. Only 7,600. Barkley, the situation with him. He has the potential for that massive, massive workload. Rashad White continues he's having a really good season. And beginning of this year, last year, DK only type play, can only play him on DK. This year does everything. So why not? Josh Jacobs is a guy that is questionable, so we need clarity on that situation. If he's out, Zamir White is 6,100. You're going to want to play him most likely. I think he would be a clear play. The other guys so this position is a little muddied by injuries. Pacheco and Edwards-Helaire, both questionable. If one sits, the other's a really good play. We have Josh Jacobs questionable. I think Kenneth Walker, he didn't practice on Thursday. He's questionable. So there's a lot of moving parts here at this position. McCaffrey is the biggest talking point, obviously. He's a free square on DK. You just play him on FanDuel. You're going to have to make some sacrifices. Still good playing him. Even Kamara, 7,500. I don't know. There's like a lot of plays here. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Pacheco is going to be out. Hasn't practiced all week. Sounds like he's on the doubtful side, which CH is the first one that jumps out. 6,500. No Jerick McKinnon there either. So, I mean, it has to be his backfield again, assuming Pacheco's out. Definitely CEH. Josh Jacobs, if he is out, Zamir White. We just saw him last week against KC, 22 rushing attempts, 145 yards. He did break off a long one late, but 20-plus touches for 6,100 definitely makes a lot of sense, especially since we do want to pay up at quarterback. You mentioned Kenneth Walker. Like, if he were to miss, Zach Charbonnet becomes a good play. A couple other people that I think are good plays regardless. Rachaad White. His role is as good as any other running back. James Cook, again, should be a pretty good game script for him. A solid price right there. A lot of these Buffalo needs to win. 7,600. I know he's had some fumbling issues, but I mean, he's going to be a favorite to score a touchdown. He's at home. I like him a lot. You go to the other side of Zeke in that game as well. Again, the matchup isn't great.
He's listed as questionable. That I just looked it up. He returned to practice, so he should be good to go.
Kenneth Walker, that is.
Zeke.
Yeah, I like Zeke at 6,400 too. I mean, CEH, Zamir White, if Jacobs is out, Zeke, all in that mid 6K range, all have a very good role. I think he is also very much in play, even though the game script isn't great. He can catch some passes. It's not fun playing a Patriots guy, but he's on the field constantly, which is what we care about a lot. Jalen Warren, do you see that price? 5,700 on FanDuel. I think he offers a lot of savings as well. And if you do want to get up to McCaffrey, maybe he's a way that can help you get there. But it is much more difficult to fit McCaffrey on FanDuel. If I can do it, great. But there's a lot of other running backs. Again, I think our value, James Cook, Zeke, I don't know, Saquon right there. I think I just prefer.
I think the McCaffrey stuff is kind of dependent on some of these injury situations. Like if we get Zamir White, who's like 6K, like it makes it easier. If we get, what is White? Yeah, he's 6,100. If you get Edwards-Helaire, he is 65. So he's kind of up there. So I mean, if the injury news breaks our way, I mean, it definitely will make it easier to play McCaffrey on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's always almost always a three running back side on FanDuel, and that's no different this week for sure. Running back pretty strong. The Warrens, the Whites, if Jacobs is out, Zeke, Rachaad White, Cook, CMCs, etc. the world.
Yeah, over on DK, like we talked about, McCaffrey, just play him in cash games. It's a free square. It's been a free square for, I don't know, every slate this season that he's been on the main slate. I mean, I don't think he's been priced over 10K, which is just absolutely atrocious. You take your 20 fantasy points and lock it in, and the upside's like through the roof. I mean, we just saw, what was it last week? How many? 44 fantasy points or whatever. I mean, he can just go off and just completely nuke a slate. So you just play him there. Similar guys, James Cook, 7,100. I think he's totally fine. If Jacobs is out, we got Zamir White at 5-1. That's a solid option. Where's our Edwards-Helaire? 5-3. Probably better play over here. But a lot of the same guys. And again, I wouldn't even be opposed to Rachaad White at 76. Like, the guy's just he's good. So a lot of the same dudes over here.
Yeah, McCaffrey is the easiest plug and play. Start your lineups with him. Again, assuming Pacheco's out, CH, McKinnon is on the IR, so CH great price. Jacobs is out, Zamir White a great price. I do like the price a little more on Saquon on DK than FanDuel, 6.9K, gets all the work. I think he's very solid. He's at home as well. Rachaad White there as well. I don't know, Rachaad White and Saquon, maybe I prefer the 700 savings if I had to choose. I think Zeke also 6K as well, a solid price there, but you can never go wrong with Rachaad White with his role as pass catching ability. Kyren Williams might be a little in that dead zone. Not sure I can go McCaffrey, Kyren with some other value on the slate. But if you do go a Kyren, it'd probably be the punting Tyrod Taylor, Jacoby Brissett range. But play CMC. Again, assuming Pacheco's out, Clyde a great price. If Jacobs is out, Zamir a good price, Zeke good price, and I think Saquon is a pretty good price too.
Yeah, wide receiver very difficult. This time here with all these injuries. I mean, let me rattle them off real quick. So Tyreek Hill's questionable. I imagine he plays, but Puka, he's going to miss practice today, and Okay, actually, McVay, and this was actually just like 30 minutes ago, McVay said the receiver is still expected to play. So Puka expected to play. Keenan Allen's questionable. I imagine he sits. They have nothing to play for. Jalen Waddle is going to be out. So if Tyreek's in, everything should go his way. Debo's questionable. He was limited on Thursday. I'd assume he plays. Jamar Chase, questionable. Not much more information. Pittman is going to play. So a lot of injury news here to kind of monitor. Zay Flowers is officially questionable, but he returned to practice today, so he should be good to go. Now, how does that correlate to what we have on our projections? Tyreek Hill is showing as a very, very strong option. It's probably going to be difficult to play Tyreek and Christian McCaffrey unless you come back to this quarterback position and play one of these cheap guys. So if you want to do something like this, just to kind of see which is viable, McCaffrey, Tyreek, just let's find a cheapish, not even going to look at the name. Chargers, probably won't be playing Chargers defense, but this is viable. You got 4,700. Let's say we get the Edwards-Helaire stuff. He's good to go. Cheap tight end.
Plug in White there,
you have
too.
White, and then you got just Pike and cheap tight. Yeah, so you get there with one cheap wide receiver, White, and then you'll have another like 4,500. So it is certainly viable to do something like that this week. Need the news, obviously, on Tyreek. I think he does play, but there are paths to play both those guys if you go cheap. Our projections are liking Devontae Adams probably a little bit more than I like him. I mean, it's just so up and down with O'Connell at quarterback, like 6 targets, 1 reception in a game that they won. Like, I don't know. I'm not liking them all that much. Demario Douglas, I mean, Patriots are going to continue to be thin. Michael Pittman will play. I think it's a pretty good spot, 7,500. I don't know if I can get there. Rashee Rice, 69. I mean, he's obviously Mahomes' favorite target at this point, even maybe more so than Kelsey, who just looks slow out there, man. Kelsey just looks like he's got cement feet, cannot move. Their team's in trouble. They're definitely in trouble. But this is a wide open position. I really think a lot will change by the time we hit Sunday in terms of what we're doing here. It's really hard to pinpoint who the cash plays are at wide receiver this week.
Yeah, 100%. Throwing out names, like I do think a Tyreek, CMC, which is why we touched on those punt quarterbacks. There's no Waddle there. It's Tyreek. He's under 10K. Definitely viable. And if you don't go him, I think like A.J. Brown feels overpriced. I'd much rather just get up to Tyreek. Diggs has been bad this year. No thanks. Kupp, Nakua, like they eat into each other a little bit. I think you probably would just go to the Debos, the Pittmans of the world, going down a little bit. Ayuk, I think I'd prefer Ayuk over Debo Pittman with the $500, $700 savings. I'm like Rashee Rice at 6'9". I mean, he is, yeah, I definitely agree with the Kelsey take. He looks slow. He looks bad. Rashee Rice is their guy. Olave is a pretty good price. I like that, 6.8K.
What about Godwin?
Yeah.
11, 12, 11 targets. Like, so he's kind of getting that role that he had last season. Obviously, Tom Brady throwing the ball a little bit different, but 11, 12,
Baker's
11.
Been good.
Take that, and Baker's been good, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Godwin right in that mid-tier. DJ Moore, I think, is pretty interesting in that mid-tier too. Good connection. Zay Flowers, Tyler Lockett, 5'7", 5'6". Great price tags right there. If you're looking for some value, I like the Demario Douglas call. 8 targets last game. They should be trailing, should be slinging it. Works out of the slot. I think he makes a lot of sense as salary relief. Going right back to Wendell Robinson, I think is good, 4K. It was Darius Slayton who got there last week, but I prefer Wendell to Slayton. Again, 4K is a solid price. Another Michael Wilson, 3.5K, no Hollywood Brown. So he steps back. Last week was his first game back. Again, if you want to go with Tyreek and CMC, you're going to need some of these guys down here. I think he's fine. Curtis Samuel, 4.4K. Shaheed, 4.6K is wide receiver too. Cedric Wilson, I don't know. He's 3.6K. There's no Waddle.
Yeah.
I think he's fine. It's Slayton's 3.42. Yeah, it's definitely a wide open position.
Wide open.
Yeah, Tyreek in the Stars and Scrubs build is definitely in play. I think the Titans guys could be fine as well in a dome in Houston. Stroud's back, so that'll force them.
Yeah, a good point, actually. With Stroud back, like definitely a boost to some of those guys for sure. They need to win that game. What are they
play so much faster?
Yeah, what is their chances of getting in? Yeah, so they're right there. They got like a 30-40% chance to kind of get into the playoffs. So they're definitely going to be gunning for this one. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the like and subscribe. We appreciate, obviously, all the support throughout the season on not only this show, but all the other shows that we do for free. All our shows are free. Nothing's premium. So, yeah, just appreciate your support. If you could, hit the like and subscribe. Over on FanDuel, a lot of the same names popping, a couple price points though that do stand out. We talked about Diggs not having a great season. Well, FanDuel, they took him down a little bit, 7,600. I think there's certainly some appeal there. Again, we have Devontae Adams popping. Again, I don't fully endorse playing Devontae Adams in cash. Probably won't get there. It's just such a risky situation. Hopkins, Pittman showing up, Tyreek Hill. FanDuel, it's going to be not possible to go Tyreek and Christian McCaffrey. I mean, you're just not going to be able to do that this week. 96 for Tyreek's going to be tough, I think, or 98, I should say. It's going to be tough. Zay Flowers at 63. I'm definitely fine with that price tag. Demario Douglas, much more expensive over here versus DK. Cooper Kupp at 8K. Not showing as a great value, but I kind of like that price tag as well. But yeah, it's going to be tough to figure out wide receiver this week.
Especially because I'm not really seeing value on FanDuel, which is, again, another reason maybe getting CMC is a little tougher. Tyreek, the $1,200 savings, though, makes that definitely, like, if I put the cash report up right now, I'm not taking CMC. I'm not taking Tyreek. I think there's multiple ways. I think you could fade them both and maybe go mid-tier. Rashee Rice, 7-4, wide receiver 1 for KC, in a good spot. You mentioned Devontae. I think I have a little more interest on FanDuel. The targets have been there most games, but I agree with you. I mean, you just got 0.9 last week. So I don't want to click that. But if I landed at 7.2K, didn't have I think Nico Collins is a good play. Like, I prefer Nico for 100 more, 7.3K with Stroud back. But if I didn't have that 100, loved everything else with my team, I'd be good with Devontae. Brandon Ayuk, 7.5. Good price tag right there. Stephon Diggs, like you mentioned. FanDuel's definitely done a better job tempting you to play some Diggs. If I landed at 7.6 in Diggs, I'd be good there. Zay Flowers, good price, 6.3K. Wide receiver 1 in Baltimore. That should be a fun game against Miami. Track meets. Godwin, 6.7. I mean, man, I'm trying to find people under 6K. What's Cedric Wilson right here? 5.3K. Maybe he is some value down there without Waddle, wide receiver 2. Should be slinging in the bit.
Yeah, there's just not much. What about Smith and Jigba? 50. What is he? 5.8. I don't hate that. Michael Wilson, 5.1K. Coming off 0 fantasy points, 4 targets.
Not fun, but value is tough on
it is tough, yeah. There's not much here. Let's check out tight end. Man, they got these guys up there a little bit. Ingram, 7K. Kittle, 6.7. McBride, 6.8. Man, I'd just have to take Goddard for $1,000 less than all those guys, 5,800. Chig, 54. Everett, 53. I think for cash, I'm going to be more in this range opposed to the top range, to be honest with you. For me, it's going to be more Goddard, Chig, Everett over Ingram, Kittle, McBride. The 1,000, I think, is going to go a long way on FanDuel.
Yeah, it's pretty tight right now. Like, if the slate locked in 10 minutes or whatever, it's definitely tight. Of course, a lot of Q tags later in the year, things can open up and stuff. But yeah, I don't see myself getting up to 7.8 for Kelsey. I'm always a huge McBride guy, so at 6.8, Kittle 6.7 right there too. I think I prefer McBride if I had to pick right now. I do think they're both in play, but that Goddard price, like you said, 5.8, 1,000 off of McBride, 900 from Kittle, stands out, especially since we liked Hurts and Lamar on FanDuel, but that makes sense. Like, Likely's all the way up to 6K. It's like, man, Goddard's 200 less, Schultz at 6.2, Stroud's back, but he's 400 more than Dallas Goedert. If we're looking for some value, I don't mind Gerald Everett, excuse me.
I'd be fine playing him at 5.3.
Yeah, they had a good connection with Easton Stick. I know Keenan's questionable. I'm not expecting him to play. I think he hangs it up for the year. Chig all the way down there at 5.4 in a dome. Houston's playing faster. Yeah, there really isn't value down here. I doubt I get Kelsey. I'd be fine with McBride, Kittle. Don't have that. I'd be good with Goddard's. Schultz, Everett's, Chig. Like, yeah, it's pretty tough.
Very
Can
much
you use
so,
any
yeah.
Bronco receiver? I mean, man,
Oof.
it wouldn't be fun. It'd be a last piece if they fit for me with Stidham.
Yeah, Judy 6. I don't know. Yeah, I wouldn't be messing with those
I'm trying
dudes,
to
be
avoid
honest.
it.
Yeah, it's not a spot I want to land. Tight end over on DK. Our projections are liking Ingram at that 5.7. Gerald Everett 3,500. Chig 36. Depending on what you do at wide receiver. I mean, are you going to try to play those McCaffrey, Tyreek teams with the cheap quarterback? You're going to have to play a guy like Everett or Chig just for the savings and hope they do something. Dalton Schultz at 4,300 with Stroud back. I kind of like that, to be honest with you. I think that's a good spot if you have like the $700 or $800 to get up. I just don't know if I can get to 5,700 or 5,900 for Ingram or McBride. I just think probably going to have to be a little cheaper at tight end. So I'm going to probably Everett, Chig, Schultz, kind of the three I'll be looking at.
Yeah, I mean, if I can get McBride or Ingram, I'd be good with it. But like, if you're playing CMC, I'm playing CMC. I know that. If you're playing CMC and Tyreek, no chance you can get there. But yeah, Everett price tag, Schultz's price tag, both standouts. Outside of them, yeah, I mean, if I can get Ingram and McBride, sure. Kate out in 31. Otten always cheap. Yeah, I mean, he also just is master of cardio, but at least he's on the field, so you know that. But I don't know. Maybe I'd rather Chig probably.
I wish Smythe did like just anything. Waddle's actually all right. 5 for 56, 4 for 32. Now Waddle's out. I don't know. What is he? 20?
How much does Waddle do for Smythe is my question though.
Probably not much, but I'll take the 5 for what do you go? 5 for 56.
You give me 10,
32.
I'm in. If you give me 10, I'm in.
Man, yeah, it's a tough spot, tough slate for sure. In terms of cash games, a lot of this stuff will be cleared up by, probably Saturday. Probably tomorrow. We're going to know on Josh Jacobs. We're going to know on the Kansas City situation. We need to see some of these wide receiver situations as well. So
Chase is questionable, so maybe like the Boys of the world, stuff like that. Yeah, it's week 17 football.
Yeah, defense real quick. So projections are like in Bills at 39, Rams at 35, Texans 3K. Nothing. I don't know. Nothing's really standing out here.
No, whatever you can fit, you can fit. That's what I see.
Yeah, a little bit of a quicker show. I mean, there's just not too much to talk about. There's a lot of information that we're still waiting on, and we'll get clarity on that. And like I always say, make sure you get to SHIPIT.com. You get 4 cash cores for FanDuel and DraftKings from one of the best in the industry, playing cash, plays every single slate in title. A lot of people are posting their cash plays, and they don't play cash. Title does our cash content. He's in the streets every slate, and we pride ourselves on that. So make sure to get on over SHIPIT.com and check out those cores. Any final thoughts before we get on out of here?
Yeah, it's definitely a week. I mean, Sunday morning is always refreshed. Keep looking at that. Tune into the Sunday show. Have underdog notifications on for NFL because that Jacobs plays. There goes a Zamir White play, and there goes a little more lack of value. You never know. Week 17 too. Half these teams don't even have anything to play for. You might see something crazy that opens up value. So we'll be on top of it as always. It'll be up Saturday, updated Sunday as always. But yeah, it's hey, there's still money to be made even in week 17.
Absolutely. Stay on top of the news. Find yourself a little advantage. No doubt about that. But as always, please hit the like, subscribe. Appreciate that. Over to SHIPIT.com to get all our content, not only for cash games, but for tournaments, GPPs, all that stuff. Appreciate your support over the course of the first 17 weeks of the season on the show. Got one more week, week 18. We'll be back. Same place, same time. Good luck in your contest this week. Let's go ahead and ship something.